Hey guys, my name is Hemant and I'll be your instructor for today. Welcome to this live session on Azure. In the next 20 to 25 minutes, we'll be learning how we can do image processing in Azure using cognitive services. Now, don't be scared with the title, guys. I know big words like cognitive and image processing are there, but it's pretty simple and it's very interesting to learn. Now let me shed a light on the processing that we are going to do today. So say we're going to upload an image with say 5 people, right? So we're going to see what are the ages of those 5 people, or what are the hair color of those 5 people in the image, and how are they feeling in the image? Are they happy or are they sad, right? So all these kind of processing we're going to learn today, how we can do it with Azure Cloud. All right. So having said that, guys, let's start with today's session. And before that, I would like to know what is the background of you guys, like what is the background of the people that I'm teaching today, so that I know in how much depth I should be teaching today, right? So please comment that in your comment box. And I say this in every session of mine that let's make this session as interactive as possible, so that it's in the benefit of both of us, right? And any questions that you have during the session, you can comment it in the comment section, and my team is there. They'll be happy to answer you. All right. So with that, guys, let's start with today's session and move on to our agenda to understand what all we'll be learning today. So I can see that Preetham Raj is a system admin, Ishan is from computer science, Pranav is from BTech CSE. All right, guys. So you all guys are from technical background. All right. I'll try to keep this session as simple as possible, so that it gets in sync with every viewer of ours. Right. So let's move on to the agenda. So we'll start off our session by first discussing what is Microsoft Azure. So for those of you who don't know what Azure is, we'll be discussing what is Microsoft Azure, and after that we'll move on to Azure Cognitive Services. Right now, under cognitive services, we have a bunch of APIs which we'll be using to do the image processing today. So those are the visual APIs, right? So we'll be discussing all the visual APIs which are there, and towards the end we'll be doing a demo wherein we'll be making use of all the APIs that are present and see how we can implement it in our code. All right. So guys, this is our agenda. I hope it's clear to you, right? So let's start off with a session now with the first topic, that is Microsoft Azure Cloud. So what is Microsoft Azure exactly? So Azure is a product from Microsoft which deals in cloud services, right? So it's a service created by Microsoft which we can use to build, to test, to deploy, and to manage application in the Azure cloud. Now, how we can do it, how it actually happens is like this, that instead of using your own infrastructure for hosting our application, you're using someone else's infrastructure. In this case, Microsoft's infrastructure, right? And you can end this term or end this rent out with that with your Microsoft provider at any time you want. Say after 2 hours, you don't need those servers anymore, right? So you can end that term after 2 hours, or if you would like to use it for say 6 months, you can end it after 6 months, right? So the good thing in this is that there is no long-term commitment that you have to give, right? And the other thing is you don't have to buy any servers. You can use it as long as you want, right? So this is what Azure Cloud is all about. Now, Azure has a lot of services, guys. It has the compute services, it has database services, it has storage services. Now, among them, I'm going to discuss about the very important services and the very new services that have been introduced by Microsoft Azure, which are called the cognitive services. Right? So what are cognitive services? So cognitive services are machine learning APIs by Microsoft Azure. So they are a bunch of very cool APIs that you can use to to give an extension to your already existing project. For example, you have a project which deals with text analysis, right? So you take up a string and you do operations on it. Now say I have I go on with Microsoft Azure and I try to use the Visual API with Microsoft Azure. So with Visual API, I have this option that I can convert the handwritten text to string, to printed text. All right. So this gives my project an extension that it also includes inputs such as images which have text written in it. All right. So with that, your project gets one more feature, and that too at a minimum, uh, your minimum effort, right? Because just with 10 or 12 lines of code, you have actually included one more feature, which if you would have developed by yourself, would have taken around 1,000 or 2,000 lines of code, right? Image processing is a very daunting task, but with Azure, it has become very simple, right? So we're going to discuss the cognitive services today. Moving on, guys. Now, under cognitive services, like I said, we'll be doing image processing, right? So image processing is all about visuals. So in cognitive services, we'll be discussing the visual APIs. Now, what are those visual APIs? Let's look at that. So there are three kind of visual APIs in Azure. You have the vision API, you have the face API, and then you have the emotion API. So what is vision API? So vision API basically gives you a description of whatever uploading, right? It gives you a, it performs analysis on that image as a whole. It doesn't focus on a particular element, right? It does an analysis on the image on the whole and gives you a description, a text description of what that image is. For example, I upload a portrait of, say, a city, right? There's city and there are landmarks and there are a lot of lights. So it analyzes each and every aspect and gives me a descriptive text of what that image is all about, right? So this is what the vision API is all about. Next we have the face API. So what is face API? So face API basically deals with particular thing, right? It deals with faces. So unlike Vision API, which deals with the whole of the image, Face API likes to focus on the faces, and it gives you a description of the facial features which are there. For example, what is the color of the hair of the person, right? Or where is the face actually located in the image, right? It gives you the pixel locations. So all of that is possible using the Face API. Next up, we have the emotion API, which actually deals with the feelings of how that particular person in the image is dealing with, right? So for example, that person is smiling, right? So emotion API detects that that person is smiling and gives you a confidence rate or a probability of what are the probability that the person in the image is actually happy, or what is the probability that the person in the image is actually sad, right? And with this kind of data, you can actually decide what is actually happening in the image, right? So these are all extensions which you can use in your code and give a boost to your already existing project. All right. So having said that, guys, enough talks. Let's go on and see how we can actually use these services in the Azure cloud. All right. So moving ahead, guys, let's go to my Azure dashboard. So for using these services, you can use them for free as well. If you don't have a Azure account, you can actually go on and type in Google that you say the Vision API subscription, right? And it can give you the subscription for free as well. But I have the Azure dashboard, and for people who have an Azure dashboard, you can go here and click on search and type in cognitive services. As I was saying, you'll go to your Azure dashboard and you will go to the search box and say cognitive services, write cognitive, and you will click on here, right? So once you click here, you will get this page wherein you can see all the cognitive services you have deployed. So as of now, I have not deployed any cognitive services, and so I'll click on add, right? And then I'll go down and I'll look at the vision APIs that I have to work with, right? So in cognitive services, you can see there are speech APIs, there are linguistic APIs, you have search APIs and others as well. But today we'll be focusing on the vision APIs. So I'll click on computer vision API, right? And I'll click on create. Once I do that, you have to give a name for your API now. So let's give it the name as vision_1, right? And now it's asking me for the subscription, so it's pay as you go, right? Pricing tier, you can choose what you want. One more thing, guys, if you have just signed in for Azure, you can see that there's a free tier option that will be enabled for you. But for me, since I've exhausted my free tier, I can only go for pay as you go. All right. Then you have the option of choosing your resource group. right? So resource group is basically your group of resources, wherein so if you have a bunch of resources, you can easily handle them if you merge them in a group, right? So this is what resource group is all about. So I can create a new resource group saying say cognitive, right? And then I can check, I confirm I have read the notice below, all right? And I can pin it to dashboard, and that is it. These are all the settings that you have to do. I'll click on create, and it'll take some seconds, and that is it. Awesome. So my computer vision API is now being deployed. While it is being deployed, let's deploy our other APIs as well. So I'll click on cognitive services. I'll click on add. Let's add a face API now. So I'll click on create. Same procedure, guys, nothing is different. I'll click here, I'll give this name as face underscore one. All right, same settings, pricing tier, and then the resource group. So I've already created a resource group saying cognitive. So let me select that, right? And I'll check this, and I'll pin it to dashboard and click on create. So like I said, it'll take some seconds and it will be deployed. Now again, let me go back and click on cognitive services again. And now I'll deploy a vision API. Sorry, emotion API, right? So I'll click on emotion API. I'll click on create. I'll give it the name as emotion underscore one, right? Pricing tier as we did before. Resource group, what we already created, cognitive. I'll check it and pin it to dashboard and click on create. So this is it, guys. There's nothing much to explain here. You just have to deploy your services, that is your APIs in it, and it's done. Now once you have deployed your APIs over here, guys, then comes the best part, that is your code, right? So this is the code which is available. This is a sample code, guys. If you want, I can give it to you. Also, you can find it on the Microsoft web page as well, right? So first, let's try and do the visual API. So let me open the visual project. So guys, this is the vision API code. Now in the code, you have to change the subscription key. Now let me tell you where will you get the subscription key. So come back to your dashboard and go to your particular API that you want the code to run for, right? So I want the code to run for vision. So I'll go to my vision service, right? And I'll click on keys. And here is the key, guys. So you just have to copy it. Now you might be wondering, I've showed you my key, but don't worry, guys. Just after this session ends, I'll change my keys. You can actually regenerate your keys from here, right? So let me copy my keys as of now and paste them here. Right, so this is the code. I'll paste my key here, I save it, and that is it, guys. This is all you have to configure. Now let me run this code now. Alright, so you'll get a command box like this, and now you have to enter the path name for your image, right? So I'll show you the image in a while that I'm trying to process. So let me give the path name. So it's 12345.jpg. Let me check if it's the same. Yes, it is. So that's it. I'll hit enter. It'll take some time to process. Meanwhile, let me show you the image that I'm processing. So guys, this is the image that I'm trying to process. There are some penguins, right? And now if the API works right, it should tell me that there are some penguins which are standing somewhere, right? So let's see if our API has been executed. So yes, it has been executed. Now you'll get the response in this JSON kind of way, guys. And if you look at the description, here it is. if you can see. So under captions, under text, there's a thing called a penguin standing in the water, right? So now now it seems pretty simple, but a machine understanding an image is actually commendable, right? So it understood that there are penguins in the image. First of all, it understood that it's an animal. Now, what kind of animal? That also it understood that it's a penguin, and it's standing, right? So it gives you the descriptive text of that particular image. Now, this was the Vision API. Now, apart from this, there are a lot of things that you can do. Like I said, you can also do text analysis. You can also use it as an OCR, that is, read printed text from image and convert it into a string, right, and stuff like that. So this was all about Vision API. Let's move ahead. Let me show you the next API, that is the Emotion API now. So I'll go to my project and I'll run this. All right. Now again, the same procedure, guys. You have to change the keys. So let me tell you again, you'll get the keys in your dashboard. You'll go to your dashboard over here and you'll click on, say, I have to do the Emotion API now. So I'll click on Emotion, right? I'll go to keys, and this is the key that I'll be copying, and let me paste it in my code, which is here. All right, I'll save it. And that is about it, guys. So let me execute it now. So it is asking me the image path. So I'll give the image path and then I'll show you the image so that you can see what are we processing on. So this is the path of the image. I'll hit enter. And while this is processing, let me show you the image. So this is the image, this is the thumbnail that you saw in the beginning, right? So this is the image that I'm trying to process. Now, as you can see, this person looks kind of surprised, right? And kind of happy as well. So let's see if this process if my API gave the same response. So if you look at the JSON, it says happiness is 0.14. Sadness is a junk value. Surprise, so it is 85% confident that this image has a person who is surprised, who is giving an emotion which is surprised emotion. Alright, so this is cool. So this API works like a charm as well. Now let me show you the third API, which is the Face API with the same image. Now what we're trying to understand here is how the three APIs return different results. For example, my Vision API gave me a result wherein it gave me a description of the image, right? My second API, that was the Emotion API, gave me the emotions of how that particular person was feeling in that particular image, right? Now this particular API should give you the facial features of the person who is there in the image, right? So again, like I said, you have to change the keys. So let me go back to my dashboard. I'll click on Face API, go to keys, right? Click on copy, come back to my code and paste the key here again. All right, so it's done. I'll save it and I'll run it. All right, so again, it's asking me for the path of the image. So let me give the path of the image. And we are giving the same guy's image again. And let's see what result we get. So let me show you the image again. This is the image that we are trying to process, and we are trying to detect what are the facial features of this particular person, right? So let's see. All right, so I've got a result. So it tells me the hair color is brown, and as you can see, the color is brown of the hair, right? And What else? We can see it can also tell me whether the person is wearing glasses or not. So as you can see, there are no glasses here, and it has given me the result that there are no glasses for this particular person. This person has a beard, and you can see that the probability of this person having a beard is zero point 0.9, which is great, right? And the gender is male, right? So it has also detected that this particular person's sex is male, right? Had it been a girl, there would have been no facial hair, and hence it would have been concluded that it's a girl, right? But then everything seems perfect. All right, so this is cool, guys. So this API, like I said, so you can use these APIs in your projects, and with the help, the output of this APIs are in JSON context, right? You can parse the JSON and get the results that you want, and pass it on to your code, already existing code, and do whatever operations you want, right? So with that, guys, it ends today's I end the today's demonstration. Now, thank you for attending today's session, guys. Now, before ending, I let me show you the landing page. So we are a company, Edureka, and we offer Azure courses, right? So we offer courses according to your timing. I know you are professionals, you're all busy in your life. So you can choose a course, you can choose timing according to your preference, and hence enroll, right? You can also, if you want the course description, you can go here and look at the description of the course, right? It's all mentioned here. For any details, you can comment here in the comment box for anything that you want to know, right? And also, we have, for people who want to learn Azure on their own, we have a blogging section, right? So we have a series of blogs which will be updated frequently, right? So for now, we have 3 blogs which you can go through and understand the basics of Azure. And we also have a playlist on Azure on YouTube which you can go through. These are all our tutorials. You can go through them and understand them, right? So with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's session, and I hope you learned something new. um, like I said, if you have any questions, this session is going to be live for another 5 minutes. You can put it down in the comment section, and my team will answer it for you. All right, so with that, thank you guys for attending today's session. Have a good day ahead. Goodbye.